All right, Matt Slick. So basically, you say, how do we know anything? Well, basically, let me quote Matt Dillahunty what he says. You're saying God did it just because we don't know. That's not an answer. The answer is we need further evidence. And Dan Barker makes a good point. Why, if this God is all powerful, let all these people suffer? And if he knows the past, present, and future, do nothing about it. And he makes a good point that God could be an evil God. But my position is there's no God because the universe can create itself. If there's different species out there, and how we developed, and of the theory of panspermia, that we could have, uh, just because we landed on Earth, we could have landed on other planets. And also the fine-tuning universe is invalid because of 10,000 exoplanets that resemble Earth that we just could happen to land. We have discovered more of the universe. The universe is bigger than ever. Once you put your God in there, your God is for the final answer, the logical absolutes, how we know anything, brain in a vat. Well, actually, if you Google, you can find actually brain in a vat articles that explains that the brain in a vat is illogical. How do we, obviously, more through the years we'll learn, and we're even learning more about the brain now, we'll find out how intelligence arose, how we'd be able to think. It could have been a different species that had an influence. But when you put your God in there, and you have no evidence of your God, and you're just saying you're just a God just out of the blue started creating things. Let me quote Stephen Hawking for you. The universe can create itself out of nothing with the physical laws. Well, where the physical laws come from? Well, maybe there's another force out there. Maybe there's multiple forces out there. Just because we had one Big Bang, there's multiple Big Bangs prior to our Big Bangs. Maybe our Big Bang had our time in space, and another Big Bang had another time in space. Remember, space warps, time and space can warp itself. There's things out of existence in space, chaos, comets hurling. If you're in space, I don't know if you ever watched the movie. Well, anyways, the movie with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney, and they were trying to repair something in space, and an asteroid just flew. There's just chaos in space. There's no God up there just saying, hey, I want asteroids to fall here, I want asteroids to fall here. It's an evolutionary time. It's an evolutionary of our species, how we develop. It's an evolutionary of space. And maybe there wasn't a single point. Maybe there was a multiple starting points. Maybe there was one point and it just spread into multiple points. So think about it with yourself. You say that God did not. Well, where did your God come from? Who created God? Oh, and if the God was uncreated, why would God just come out of existence? And you go to the theist God, but then you actually go back to a deist God. So since Dan Barker refuted the theist God, you're saying the deist God did it. But you have to ask yourself: one, if the God exists, is it an evil God? Two, is it more evil than good? Why the hell worship in the first place? Why the hell live in fear of something you can't prove to exist, but you take it on faith? Why have fear of a hell? There's no evidence for hell. Technically, if the God I never. You say God knows everything, Well, why would God let people be non-believers, and people that don't find religion interesting or want to become believers? How come I'm not scared of hell? Even if the God existed, why would I be scared of hell? I say bring it on. Let me quote Matt Dillahunty to you. Matt Dillahunty says, if he died and he turned out he was in hell, he would have questions for God. Obviously before, being judged if he had to go to hell. And he said, at least I would know that I'm more or superior to that God. There you go. So I say to yourself, you should have pride, like William Wallace. Die with pride. If you're morally superior to that God, then You said yourself when death comes around, you know, that guy was wrong and I'm morally superior. So basically, all your strong arguments are, well, how do we know anything? Like I said, what's your evidence for God? There's no evidence. If the universe creates itself out of nothing with the physical laws, and the universe, like Lawrence Krauss says, can create itself out of nothing, and there could be the different species that had before we were cells, had influence. Even some scientists have said our DNA is alien origin. We are extraterrestrials. We're just a different form of extraterrestrials. Our DNA came from Mars. The DNA is so complex that they said there had to be some alien intelligence. Not a God intelligence, but an alien intelligence. It had something to do. I'm just going to leave it at there. You can reply Matt Slick if you want.